Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have a great show for you tonight. John Cornett and Jan Sue are standing by in the wings ready to play some music. How are you folks tonight?
Very good. Very good.
Good. Casper Leach is here to co-host, and our guest tonight is Don Skacke from, he's working as a volunteer coordinator now on our Oregon Cannabis Tax Act campaign. So we'll be talking a little bit more about that. We have a hemp news segment here, and we will be back in just a moment after we bring on our infamous dancing, cannabis, leaves.
Feel the force.
All right, our first story tonight is out of Dover, Delaware. Democratic Governor Jack Markell has abruptly halted plans to implement legislation passed in 2011 that allows Delaware's qualified cannabis patients to obtain marijuana from state-licensed facilities. Delaware's Governor Markell had initially signed the law, Senate Bill 17, the Delaware Medical Marijuana Act, last May. Under the law, patients with a qualifying illness may legally possess up to 6 ounces of cannabis, provided they obtain it from a state-licensed, not-for-profit compassion center. State regulators anticipate to begin licensing marijuana producers and distributors later this year. On Friday, Governor Markell announced that he was suspending the program because his office received a letter from the Obama Justice Department alleging that its implementation would subject those licensed under the law, as well as public servants, to federal criminal prosecution. States the letter, authored by U.S. Attorney for the state of Delaware, Charles Oberly III, growing, distributing, and possessing marijuana in any capacity other than as part of a federally authorized research program is a violation of federal law, regardless of state laws permitting such activities. Moreover, those who engage in financial transactions involving the proceeds of such activities may also be in violation of federal money laundering statutes. End quote. Letter further threatens, quote, state employees who conduct activities mandated by the Delaware Medical Marijuana Act are not immune from liability under the Federal Controlled Substances Act. Justice Department officials sent similar letters to lawmakers and governors in states considering related legislation last spring. Shortly after receiving the letters, Washington's Democratic Governor Christine Gregoire vetoed legislation that sought to allow for licensed cannabis dispensaries in that state. Soon thereafter, Rhode Island's independent governor, Lincoln Chafee, also nixed regulations allowing for the state-licensed production and distribution of cannabis. In a statement issued by Delaware's Governor Markell on Friday, he claimed that the federal government left him with no other alternative but to suspend the law's implementation. He said, quote, to do otherwise would put our state employees in legal jeopardy, and I will not do that, end quote. In response to the governor's action, sponsors of the law have suggested amending the Medical Marijuana Act to allow for qualified patients to cultivate cannabis at home, a practice that is presently allowed under state law in 14 other states. To date, 3 states, Colorado, Maine, and New Mexico, have issued licenses to allow for the state-sanctioned production and distribution of cannabis. So far, programs in those states have operated largely without federal interference. Similar licensing legislation approved in recent years in Arizona, New Jersey, Vermont, and Washington, D.C. has yet to be implemented by local lawmakers. Our next story is out of Detroit, Michigan. The Michigan Court of Appeals ruled 2-1 last week that Detroit city election officials illegally blocked voters in 2010 from deciding on a municipal ballot initiative that sought to remove marijuana penalties for those aged 21 or older. Proponents of the ballot measure, the Coalition for a Safer Detroit, collected over 6,000 signatures from registered voters in 2010 to place the measure on that year's fall ballot. The vote never took place, however, because city election officials alleged that the proposal conflicted with state anti-drug laws. A trial court agreed with their opinion. Last Friday, the Michigan Court of Appeals reversed that opinion. It determined that the proposed ballot measure on its face does not appear to significantly alter state law. Consequently, the plaintiffs had a clear legal right to the placement of the initiative on the ballot, the court ruled. On last Tuesday, Crystal Crittenden, the corporate counsel for Detroit Law Department, said the city plans to file an appeal with the Michigan Supreme Court. It's not yet clear whether the appeal process will further delay a public vote on the measure, which had been scheduled for August this year. Last story tonight is out of Montreal, Canada. The enactment of state medical marijuana laws in the United States and Canada allowing for limited legal use of cannabis by qualified patients has had no causal effect on broader cannabis use, according to data published online in the journal The Annals of Epidemiology. The investigators at McGill University in Montreal obtained state-level estimates on marijuana use from 2002 through 2009 from the U.S. National Survey on Drug Use and Health. Researchers used difference in difference regression models to estimate the causal effects of medical cannabis laws on marijuana use and simulations to account for measurement error. The authors reported, quote, difference in difference estimates suggest that passing medical marijuana laws decreased past month use among adolescents and had no discernible effect on the perceived riskiness of monthly use. These estimates suggest that reported adolescent marijuana use may actually decrease following the passing of medical marijuana laws. They concluded, we find limited evidence of causal effects of medical marijuana laws on measures of reported marijuana use. Previous investigations by researchers at Brown University in 2011 and Texas A&M in 2007 made similar determinations, concluding, quote, consistent with other studies of the liberalization of cannabis laws, medical cannabis laws do not appear to increase use of the drug. The McGill researchers' findings are in conflict with public statements by the U.S. drug czar Gil Kurligowski, who in recent years has frequently alleged that passage of medical marijuana laws is directly responsible for higher levels of self-reported marijuana consumption among U.S. teenagers. The full text of this study, Do Medical Marijuana Laws Increase Marijuana Use? Replication Study and Extension, appears in the Journal of the Annals of Epidemiology. That's the end of our hemp news segment tonight. We're going to jump over to John Cornett and Jan Sue. Welcome back, folks.
Well, thank you very much, Paul. There's so much going on in the world today. You know, I think there's plenty of room for the pharmaceuticals and the hemp and cannabis enthusiasts, personally.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, those pharmaceuticals are a lot more dangerous. We know that.
Yes.
They kill
Yes, we do.
tens of thousands every
We know that.
year. We just
Personally.
lost Whitney Houston last week to pharmaceuticals.
sad.
If she'd been smoking marijuana, she'd still be with us.
Well, live and learn. We hope that
Yeah.
people get it.
Too bad they wouldn't let her encourage that.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
Right.
Thank you.
John
Lennon.
Cornett and Jan Sue. Thanks, folks. We'll be seeing you back at the end of the
Thank you,
show
Paul.
for more music. I'd like to welcome Don Skacke. Welcome to the show, Don.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Casper. Good to see you
Casper
both.
Leach. Hey, Casper. We are taking your phone calls tonight. If you have a question about ending adult marijuana prohibition or restoring industrial hemp or helping medical marijuana patients, give us a call at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. So, Don, the last time you were on our show, you were talking about the Washington Initiative, and I think that was about 7 or 8 months ago or so.
It was.
And now you're back to talk about our Oregon Initiative.
That's
You've
right.
come to town to help us work on that.
Absolutely. I thank you for calling me down. And we brought a little bit of Washington with us, and I've left it out in the car. We have some signs.
We had Washington visit Oregon one year, but that was called Mount St. Helens.
Yeah, that's not what we have in mind, but we do have some smoke for you.
Okay.
The signs we brought down say "Sign here to legalize." They are real eye catchers. I was out with a couple of your local volunteers today, and they've told me that based on their previous experience, it's really improved their ability to catch the public's eye and get signatures to put this on the ballot.
All right. And you've been working on reaching out to other businesses and getting us our petition out in the streets.
Absolutely. We've called what we call in Washington access points, dispensaries per se, but it's been really positive response. We've come out with these new single signature sheets. Now, normally when you collect signatures as a gatherer, you have 10 or 20 on a page, but this is going to allow us to hand somebody a petition. They can sign it in the privacy of their own home. They can give one to their loved ones. And there's no need, they become their own witness to their own signature, and they can mail it into the campaign. And that's how we'd like people to participate that may not feel comfortable signing out in public in front of your friends and neighbors.
All right.
Really nice.
Well, we have an initiative currently in circulation to end adult marijuana prohibition, restore industrial hemp. It would also allow patients to get cannabis at farmers' costs. So the price of cannabis would drop down to, we estimate, a lot lower for patients. It would be higher for adults over the age of 21. People could grow their own under our proposal, and it would also restore industrial hemp for fuel, fiber, and food. So if you can help us on our petition drive, go to this website, octa2012.org. That'll redirect you to the petition site. You can print out one of those single signature sheets at your home on your printer, sign it and mail it back to us here at 2712 Northeast Sandy. Or you can volunteer to help us in other ways or make a contribution. So please go to that website and get involved. We have a phone call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Good evening. I just want to make you guys aware of the following information that I learned today from watching local cable access TV. It's originated from TVC TV, and I don't know if they have it on their website or not, which is tvctv.org. By the way, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay. Anyway, this is about DRE. You probably know what that is, Paul. Drug recognition expert by the...
Oh, yeah.
Okay. When I was watching this show, or this presentation that the two Hillsborough police officers did, and I'm not sure when it was taped, it was probably sometime just recently, they were talking about children, basically school children and drugs. And mostly it was about prescription drugs. At least that's what the little title on the bottom of the screen said. Mm-hmm. But they also said the following, I think it's inaccurate, bit of information. But they said, well, now since we have, they said marijuana is a prescription now. Well, no, technically it's not a prescription. But these people, these two police officers are trying to tell the people in the audience and in the auditorium there where they were at Tuolity Hospital. By the way, this is put on by the Tuolity Hospital, puts on a little health seminar about once or twice a month, and 1 month it might be on diabetes, and the next month it might be on back pain or something. This month it was on drug recognition in your children and the prescription drug problem that the kids have. And they had all their facts and figures there and stuff, but it was pretty interesting. But the things I wanted, the main point I wanted to make to you guys was to have anybody who is wants to be aware of what's going on around them to watch that on Tuolumne Valley Community Television Access Channel. I think it was like on Channel 28 or something. But I'm not sure if you get it out there in Portland. Maybe they run it in Portland on the Portland Community Channel on the on Channel 11. But and maybe you can get it off their website. I don't know, but I didn't check into that. But the bottom line is that one of the police officers said that they just got 200, and I think he said it was 218 police officers in the state of Oregon have just graduated from this. It's like a month-long course or something like that. Or it was 2-week-long course, I believe, and then they had some other follow-up thing to make them drug recognition experts. So this way here, if they want to pull you over in your car and you blow on the breathalyzer and it blows 0, then they'll send in the drug recognition expert, and they want you to do these. They talk about the field sobriety test. Well, I'm in my 50s. I've got a few old injuries and stuff. I couldn't do their stupid field sobriety test, just because of physical limitations. And I think a lot of people that have medical cannabis, probably do have conditions where they're not going to be able to hop around on one foot.
Yeah.
Give me a frickin' break.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting back to this, they just graduated 200 and something of them, and what these people do is they bring you into the station, I guess, or maybe out to the scene if they need to. And this DRE, drug recognition expert, has a blood pressure cuff, a sphygmometer. That's what that is, and then a stethoscope and some special little medical lights, and then a little eye chart thing that gauges pupil size. And they were talking about all these different things, but as far as how to recognize this kind of drug and what this kind of drug does to your kids. And there was mostly, like I said, the little title header down at the bottom of the screen. They'd flash that up every now and then. It was prescription drugs in your kids. And one of the things that these people conveniently left out is that there's no toxic threshold limit of cannabis, okay? And, of course, they talked down cannabis all they could. But I want you guys to watch this show, and when I say you guys, the people up there on the panel and the people out in the audience, try and watch this thing to see what you're up against, because these people, they'll stop at nothing to basically deprive you of your civil rights, of your personal freedoms. And so check that out. It's Tuolumne Healthcare, Tuolumne Hospital out in Hillsboro. It was 2 Hillsboro police officers that were giving this lecture in an auditorium there, I guess, at the hospital. And it was videotaped by Tuolumne Valley Community Television. And I suppose you could probably go to tvctv.org and maybe download it. I don't know. Maybe you can, the people that don't get, if they can't get it on there, maybe you can call Portland Community Media and see if they can run it on Channel 11 on the CAN, also known as the Community Access Network, to the people out there that are new to cable TV. And but listen to this thing. It's probably an hour-long presentation, and they
You
leave
feel
out
like
a lot
you
of
got
beneficial
some information about the way law enforcement will be conducting these tests.
Yeah, and they also say that kids are getting, one of the things that really frosted my ass, pardon my French, but they said, well, now since marijuana is a prescription drug,
it's not. Actually, there's 2 things I'd like everyone to know. I'm not certain of how it works in Oregon. I live in Washington State. But I know that when they pull you over, you're required to give them your identification and your insurance. And that's it. You're not required to answer any of their questions. You're not required to do any of their tests. As a matter of fact, if they ask you to step out of the car, you should lock your door behind you, because they could search your car on the premise that you have access to a weapon. And once you lock your door, they don't have that. They're going to ask you to do the tests.
You to step out these days much.
Well, but if they do ask you to step out and ask you to do the tests, they're not going to say, you need to do these tests. They're going to say, would you do these tests for me? These tests are all completely voluntary. don't do them, because all they are is one step after another of observations that will later be used against you in court. And I agree with the caller. I'm in my 50s as well. I've got back problems. I recently was pulled over in Washington State and was asked to do a few tests, and honestly, I couldn't do it, and I was unimpaired. But I explained to the officer what I had going on with my condition, and he understood, and he sent me on my way. He did do a few other tests on the eyeballs, but I guess he was happy. So after that, of course, I spoke to an attorney who said, don't do it. So make sure that you do what you have to comply with the law, but don't give up any of your rights and don't contribute to your own prosecution.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. And also the thing that ticked me off was they're trying to insinuate that children are now getting they're getting marijuana from their parents, because he was trying to say, well, they get pills from their parents. They go in and sneak into the medicine cabinet and steal pills out of the, wherever they can find it, where the parents have it stashed away. And so they go in there and take a few pills and stuff, and then, get
one of our
messed up on them.
stories in our hemp news segment talked explicitly about children's use or young adults' use of marijuana in states that have legalized medical marijuana, and they've shown that the use by teenagers actually falls when we make medical marijuana illegal or legal.
Go out there to Tuolity and maybe bring a group of people along, like Dr. Levesque and a few other people. Bring your charts and graphs and have all the expert testimony, and maybe put on another a seminar for Tuolity Health Services, and give them the real truth about cannabis, and also tell them that for years your policy has been that children should not have cannabis. But, and this is a qualified but if they're going to go out and get high on something, and the kids are, if you watch the news, and you've got to be living in a, cave if you don't know this already, but kids for the last 15 or 20 years, I don't know what the hell's gotten into them, but they want to get high. So whether it's asphyxiation that they do, or whether it's huffing gasoline fumes, or
by
whether
far, I agree with you. Cannabis is the safest alternative. But thanks for your call and your question.
And just to end on that, Paul, parents tend to trust their children. They've raised them, they love them, they trust them. Right. And because pharmaceuticals are commonplace around the home, they do put them in the medicine cabinet. It becomes a drug of accessibility, whereas cannabis, as it's still illegal federally and non-medically, we tend to put that aside and out of sight and out of access for kids, which is another reason why cannabis is probably a lower accessible use to kids. But we need to lock that up. Lock up those pharmaceuticals from your children, people.
And when I was living in Indiana, I get together with my son. Usually he had better herb than me, and I got herb from him.
Yeah, usually the kids have better access.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thanks for that call, caller. We are taking your calls tonight. If you have a question about ending adult marijuana prohibition, restoring industrial hemp, or helping medical marijuana patients, you can call us at 503-288-4448. Guess we have another call. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hi, my name is Neil.
Hi, Neil.
I was just curious about the, ADHD and the medical card now.
Yeah, there's the Oregon Health Department is considering adding that to the list of conditions, but they haven't made a determination yet. Usually they go through this process and turn it down. So we'll see what happens. We'll find out in the coming month.
Well, because I know that from my understanding, in California and Washington, it's an afflictable,
in Washington.
I guess,
Washington,
malady.
it's currently under review
It's under
for the
review,
Medical
too.
Quality Assurance Commission. They have a
And they,
petition
like
before them
Oregon's
right
Health
now.
Department, have the same petition or a similar one in front of them. The odds are against them. They usually turn these things down. Don't want to give people false hope. But we'll see. We'll find out sometime in the next 30 to 60 days.
Because I heard something about it recently came on the books to be authorized under the
No,
medical card.
it's just they're considering these petitions. They haven't been approved yet.
All right, because, For me, I was diagnosed at 5 years old and put on Silert. They did brain activity tests on me.
Mm-hmm.
They said that at 5 years old, laying back in a dark room, almost asleep, my brain activity was the equivalent of an awake adult in the middle of the day. Now, mind you, I'm 40 years old, so this was 1977. So, they put me on prescription speed, and this is what I found as an alternative. I don't take medication. I smoke marijuana.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people like you, and we hope that you get some help. Our position here is we're trying to completely legalize hemp and cannabis for all adults, regardless of their reason for using it. We have a petition in circulation right now. If you go to this website, hemp.org, and scroll down a little bit, you'll find out about our clinics to help medical marijuana patients. When you scroll down, you'll find out about our petition drive here in the state of Oregon to regulate and legalize hemp and cannabis. And we need your support in that petition. It'll make it where you don't need a permit. Anyone would be able to grow their own. And so we urge you to support our effort and sign our petition.
Okay.
All right.
Because I recently had to do a thing.
What's that? Don't listen to your television. Talk to us.
Okay, yeah, I recently had to do a thing that for a job because I gave a bad UA, and they made me do a DNA information class.
And, whatever you need to do to keep your job, I guess. But it's a shame that we've gone from being the land of the free to now being the land of the pee. We're the only country that requires you to pee in a cup for employment. And, my response is, my father and our forefathers did not fight in World War II. My father was on a PT boat in the Pacific in World War II. We didn't fight for our liberty so we would have to pee in a cup for a job. And we urge you to help us end adult marijuana prohibition and end this madness, and restore freedom and sanity by helping us put an initiative on the ballot to legalize hemp and cannabis.
Well, prohibition of alcohol created the mob, so, prohibition of other substances is not going to work.
It obviously hasn't. I mean, here it's prohibited. I use cannabis. All of us do, and so it's obviously not working.
Exactly.
All right, thanks for your call.
Have a good evening.
Thanks for your call. You have a good evening, too. If you have a question or comment for us tonight, give us a call at 503-288-4448. If you want to get involved in the petition campaign, you can call that number, too, 503-473-8790. That is our office there at 2712 Northeast Sandy Boulevard.
Paul, now would be a good time to mention how many packets you've sent out to volunteers.
That's true. We've sent out about 900 packages to people who've contacted us through mail and the internet and the telephone asking for petitions. So we sent out 900 packages just here in the past 2 weeks to everyone who's requested them. This was our second mailing to most of these people. So if you've received one of those, sign those petitions, get them back into us. Let's get that number up. We're up to about 45,000 signatures now, and we need 87,000 valid registered Oregon voter signatures by July 6th. So we have about 5 months to go here. We need your support. Help us put this on the ballot.
And another thing that's important to remember is we have to turn them in monthly. So don't worry about filling up the whole sheet, thinking that you'll have somebody else sign it later. Please do send it in right away on a monthly basis. We'll get you some more. And actually, over the coming weeks, I'll be contacting as many volunteers as I can to see whatever the campaign can do to improve your collection abilities. If we don't get this on the ballot, we can't vote on it. And if we don't get it on the ballot, we'll have to try again and again until we do. We need to actually get it done this time. We need to collect the signatures, get them turned in, have them validated, and put ourselves on the ballot.
I am 100% committed to getting this thing on the ballot, and I can tell you we will not fail. We're going to put this on the ballot. So please help us do that. In fact, if you know someone who's experienced and works well in the public, who's looking for a job, there's a possibility of paid petitioners. If you want to volunteer, you can call our office. If you just want to print out the petition, sign it, and send it back to us, you can do that from any computer by going to that website, octa2012.org. That'll take you right to our website. You can click on Sign the Petition, then print that thing out, sign it, and mail it back to our office there on Sandy Boulevard. It'd be very, very helpful. Every signature that you gather for us saves us about $1 in paid petitioner costs. So if you can't donate cash, then you can help us by helping us gather signatures.
And those dollars can be then spent at winning the campaign.
Yeah. So we are going to be rolling a film clip in just a moment. So just stay tuned. How are you doing, Casper? You've been over there pretty quiet.
Yeah, well, we got an awful lot to
Tom's
talk
running
about
his mouth
this
over
evening.
here.
That's okay.
Well, you got a lot to say. You know, you've got an interesting road ahead of you to get the Oregon initiative off the ground and get the attention of the people who you need to get attention to. How did you wake up one day and say, you know, I think I'll go out and gather signatures today? That'd make a good hobby.
Well, you know, I'm wearing the Cannabis Defense Coalition t-shirt. A couple of years ago, I got involved with them after Hemp Fest, and that following January, there were some cannabis bills in the legislature in Washington. We went down there. I got involved with that, and then shortly after that, Sensible Washington announced their Initiative 1068 effort. And I went from being a local guy collecting signatures on my street corner to reaching out to volunteers and working with the campaign leadership to best develop the support for the volunteers. Paul, I think it's great that you have the resources you do to put into the campaign. The donations that
We're
have come
thankful
in.
to the patients. The patients
Absolutely.
who come in to see our doctors, we're able to pay our expenses and then take some to pay for this petition drive, and that's what we've been doing. We're very grateful. If you're one of our patients, thank you.
Thank you.
We are using all our resources to put this on the ballot so that from now on, no one will need to pay that $200 a year fee or jump through hoops to be able to grow cannabis. And we'll restore hemp for fuel, fiber, and food. We have a film clip. We're going to roll that right now, and we'll be back in just a second. So stay tuned. Enjoy. Here it is.
Long ago, when these ancient Grecian temples were new, hemp was already old in the service of mankind. For thousands of years even then, this plant had been grown for cordage and coarse cloth in China and elsewhere in the East. For centuries prior to about 1850, all the ships that sailed the western seas were rigged with hempen rope and sails. For the sailor, no less than the hangman, hemp was indispensable. A 44-gun frigate, like our cherished old Ironsides, took over 60 tons of hemp for rigging. Including an anchor cable 25 inches in circumference. The Conestoga wagons and prairie schooners of pioneer days were covered with hempen canvas. Indeed, the very word canvas comes from the Arabic word for hemp. In those days, hemp was an important crop in Kentucky and Missouri. Then came cheaper imported fibers for cordage, like jute, sisal, and manila hemp, and the culture of hemp in America declined. But now, with Philippine and East Indian sources of hemp in the hands of the Japanese, and shipment of jute from India curtailed, American hemp must meet the needs of our Army and Navy as well as of our industries. In 1942, patriotic farmers at the government's request planted 36,000 acres of seed hemp, an increase of several thousand%. The goal for 1943 is 50,000 acres of seed hemp. In Kentucky, much of the seed hemp acreage is on river bottom land such as this, along the Kentucky River Gorge. Some of these fields are inaccessible except by boat. Thus, plans are afoot for a great expansion of the hemp industry as a part of the war program. This film is designed to tell farmers how to handle this ancient crop, now little known outside Kentucky and Wisconsin. This is hemp seed. Be careful how you use it. For to grow hemp legally, you must have a federal registration and tax stamp. This is provided for in your contract. Ask your AAA committeeman or your county agent about it. Don't forget, hemp demands a rich, well-drained soil such as is found here in the bluegrass region of Kentucky or in central Wisconsin. It must be loose and rich in organic matter. Poor soils won't do. Soil that will grow good corn will usually grow hemp. Hemp is not hard on the soil. In Kentucky, it has been grown for several years on the same ground, though this practice is not recommended. A dense and shady crop, hemp tends to choke out weeds. Here's a Canada thistle that couldn't stand the competition. Dead as a dodo. Thus, hemp leaves the ground in good condition for the following crop. For fiber, hemp should be sown 5 pecks to the acre. With drill, the closer the rows, the better. These rows are spaced about 4 inches. This hemp has been broadcast. Either way, it should be sown thick enough to grow a slender stalk. Here's an ideal stand. The right height to be harvested easily, thick enough to grow slender stalks that are easy to cut and process.
So now you know how to grow hemp. This was a U.S. Department of Agriculture film from World War II, reintroducing hemp. They banned it in the 30s to allow the synthetic subversion of our economy to take place, and with the, as they said in the film, the disruption of foreign fiber sources, they had to start cultivating hemp again. It's a war crop, and in fact, the ancient Chinese used it for bows for their, it was the best fiber for their bows back in about 500 BC. So the first original war crop, so to speak. But we have a phone caller who's been standing by. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hello.
Howdy.
My name is Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
Howdy.
Hi. Hey, I'm waving to you.
We're waving back.
I have a question for you. I am a 3-time cancer patient, and I've survived that. And then I had osteonecrosis, which took my my hip joints and my left knee. And so through all that, I still have the residual effects of pain and imbalance and, you know, all kind of things. And when I get rid of one thing, it comes up to another.
Sure.
Well, I've been taking Marinol for the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden my insurance company says, no, you can't have it. We're denying it because I'm not on chemotherapy treatments anymore. I'm not taking radiation anymore. I'm an actual survivor of cancer.
Right.
3. And
you still qualify under Oregon's medical marijuana program, though that won't help you get Marinol through a pharmacy. Actually, I think you'd find that organic cannabis, which has the whole gamut of cannabinoids, have a combined effect, an entourage effect that makes them work more synergistically and more effectively. So your condition definitely qualifies for medical marijuana under every state law in the 16 states in the District of Columbia where medical marijuana is legal, if you wanted to pursue that option.
Well, I do.
Well, we have doctors who can help you, so just give us a call. If you are...
My pain management doctor says she doesn't want to do it because she can't control it. If I do the if I get it fresh or from a friend or something, she can't control that, so she doesn't want to approve of it. But yet she gives me the Marinol pills
Well,
every
we have
month.
doctors who will approve that. Do you have to go undergo urinalysis testing for your pain management services?
Yeah.
You do, so you test positive for medical marijuana. We have some doctors who might be able to help you outside of your current pain management specialist. I'm not sure whether your insurance would cover that or not, but it's something you might look into.
Well, Paul, if she's got the Marinol prescription and it's just the problem is that they're not paying for it, even if they test her, doesn't she say, well, I have a Marinol prescription?
As long as you have the Marinol prescription, then it wouldn't be an issue.
Because unless she can afford to enter the program, her insurance company is basically forcing her to the black market.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you might have your doctor issue the Marinol prescription, but if you can't, maybe just fill it every now and then if you use the organic marijuana, their testing couldn't tell the difference.
But you should always follow the law to the best of your ability.
So what I hear you saying is that I still get the prescription from the doctor who is trying to prescribe it now?
If you want to stay with your current pain management specialist, you could do that, and then her testing couldn't differentiate between organic medical marijuana nor the synthetic Marinol.
You'd have the prescription for Marinol even though your insurance wouldn't be paying for it.
And you'd
have it filled.
Use medical marijuana, and the doctor really couldn't tell the difference.
Well, the problem is that it's very expensive.
Right. Medical marijuana is cheaper than Marinol by far, and more effective.
Well, can you give me an estimate of how much it costs?
There's a state fee of $200 a year unless you're on the SSI, Supplemental Security Income. So you'd pay an annual fee of $200 to the state health department. And that's completely private as well. Then you'd be able to grow your own medical marijuana, or you could name a family or friend to grow it for you.
But I don't have $200.
Ah, well,
if
you're on disability, it might be $100. If you're on SSI, then it's a $20 fee. It's a state fee. It's an annual fee, too. So I'm sure you know those Marinol pills, probably $200 won't even buy you 10 of them or something like that, right?
Right.
And this is why we need to legalize, because patients like you can't even afford, to keep food on the table, let alone these expensive medicines.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
So we're trying to completely legalize it, and we've got a petition drive out there, as you've heard me say over and over here tonight. I just urge you to help us put this thing on the ballot and just change this whole awful paradigm of pharmaceutical domination of the pain management market.
Kathy, have you signed the petition yet?
No, not yet, but my son told me that you have flyers out all over.
Well,
pick me one up.
Go to the website on
internet.
your screen, and we will send you a petition, a single signature petition.
Yeah.
That you can mail back.
If you just call this phone number, we'll be happy to mail you one, or you can go to the internet and print it out right at that website, octa2012.org. If you've got a printer, you print it out, sign it, and send it back to us.
And that'd be much better, because then you could print one out for your loved ones to sign and your friends and their families to sign.
The problem I have is my printer quit on me.
Somebody in your circle has a printer.
Elsewhere.
Yeah.
And if they don't, we'll send you one. Just let us know. We need everybody's signature. This is the time to not say, I'll do that, but I'll do it later. The time to do it is now, because the sooner we get the necessary number of signatures to get this on the ballot, the sooner we can plan for victory.
Yeah. All right, well, I'm on it.
And if you need help locating a doctor, we have doctors across Oregon and across the United States that can help you. You can call us locally here in the Portland area at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. If you're outside of the Portland area, you can call us at our toll-free number. That's 1-800-723-0188. Like it says there on the screen, 1-800-723-0188. We'll be happy to refer you to a doctor who can help you get your state's medical marijuana permit. We can even help patients get multiple state medical marijuana permits. You can get it for Oregon, Washington, California, all at once.
So if I'm on vacation somewhere, then I have to get a permit for every state that I go to?
Well, it depends on what state you're going to. There's 16 states that allow medical marijuana. Out of those 16 states and the District of Columbia, out of those, 5 of them allow patients with their own state permit. Say an Oregon permit would cover you in Maine, Montana, Michigan, Rhode Island, and Arizona. But the other states, Oregon doesn't recognize other states' medical marijuana permits, but those 5 states will recognize them.
And it's important to remember that if you're traveling, even if it's from one medical state to another, do not take your meds across state lines. You should obtain your medicine that you need in your visiting state whenever possible.
But you see, that's wrong.
Well, now don't you
Yeah,
travel?
I agree. I travel with cannabis all the time. I fly out of the Portland airport with my medical marijuana permit. They allow me to fly from state to state with medical marijuana. You can carry up to 1.5 pounds with you. I can tell you from hundreds of experiences over the past decade that they never check you when you land. They only check you when you take off. And at the Portland airport, as long as you have a medical permit, they'll allow you to legally fly with up to 1.5 pounds. I never carry 1.5 pounds because I'm not gone that long. But you can fly with the amount you need for that trip.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Okay.
How long would you need to be gone to take 1.5 pounds? 4 days?
Me personally? No, 1.5 pounds would last me a lot longer than 4 days. Probably close to a year.
Oh, okay.
Maybe even I might not do that much in a year. I don't know. I probably do. All right. Thanks for your call.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck,
Good luck.
Kathy.
Thanks.
Feel
Bye-bye.
better.
We're down to just about 11 minutes left in the show. We have a studio audience member who has a question or comment. Go right ahead.
Just a comment. I want to expand a little bit on what you said.
Please.
I took my medicine to China with me twice.
Oh.
And both times they checked me coming back to the States. And the first time the guy just kind of looked at me and smirked and put it back. Second time the girl that found it giggled, which I thought was funny. Of course, I was sweating bullets. But
Now, that was in the United States?
No, that was
or-
in China.
In China, yeah.
In China. They didn't check me going on here.
No.
If I had, so just for the record, they don't care in China.
No, they don't.
They don't
They
care.
don't. Thanks for that. If you have a question or comment tonight, you can call us at 503-288-4448. Only the line's busy now, so you'll have to try back after this next caller hangs up. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hello.
Howdy.
Hi.
Hey, doesn't the federal laws supersede the state law, and it's
That's a very good point. I'd like to address
federal
that.
law illegal to grow marijuana?
I'm glad you brought that up. You know, it's true that in the United States Constitution, it says that federal law is supreme over state law. But the federal drug law is called the Controlled Substances Act. It's Title 21 of the United States Code, or 21 U.S.C. At Section 903 of 21 U.S.C., it says explicitly that state drug laws supersede federal drug laws. The citation for that is 21 U.S.C. 903. So while in most cases federal laws trump state laws, and you'll hear in the news that they do that with drug laws all the time, the fact of the matter is that the Federal Controlled Substances Act says explicitly that state law trumps federal law. And that's why no one has been arrested in Oregon who has a permit for medical marijuana and charged under federal law, and why they haven't come down on the dispensaries in Colorado, Maine, and the other state that has it, and they allow that to go forward. It's because the state law, once it's implemented, according to the federal law, state drug laws supersede federal laws. Again, the citation on that, you can enter this into a search engine on the internet. Just enter 21 U.S.C. 903. The top link that comes up will be from the Drug Enforcement Administration, and you can read that section of the Federal Controlled Substances Act that says that state law supersedes federal law when it comes to drug laws. I hope that helped.
21 what?
USC, United States Code, 21 USC, Section 903. Just 21 USC 903.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you guys got that movie? You got that movie, Reefer Madness?
Yeah, well, that film a while ago was Hemp for Victory, a United States Department of Agriculture film. But yeah, we've seen Reefer Madness for sure.
It's funny that they don't make that hemp use hemp for rope and clothing. And
it's all about money and power. In the petrochemical industry, invented the marijuana myth and sold it to us to protect their industrial holdings. As our late great friend Gatewood Galbraith called them, they are the petrochemical, pharmaceutical, military, industrial, elite, fascist sons of a bitches.
Yeah, you get that one right.
Yeah.
Can't they use that oil for like biodiesel oil or something?
Yeah, you can use hemp seed for biodiesel fuel. And when we legalize hemp and cannabis with our initiative, 2% of the proceeds from the sale of marijuana to adults will go to support and promote Oregon hemp fuel, fiber, and food products.
Okay, I want to go to that website. You got the Octa
2012. You can print out the petition and send it and sign it and send it back to us, or you
Do I have to be a registered voter?
A registered Oregon voter.
Yeah, and if you're not registered to vote, we can help you register.
All right.
There's actually a link to register to vote on the website.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for calling. We're down to about 6 minutes left. Do you want to say anything here?
I look forward to seeing all the volunteers out in the streets over the next few weeks. Contact the campaign if you want to help out but not sure how to do it. We need to collect signatures. The easiest way to do that is talk to your friends and family and neighbors, people that you already know and are comfortable talking to. Ask them to carry the petition to their family and just let it grow from there. But beyond that, that'll only take us so far. We need to get out in the street and get tens and tens of thousands more. Do whatever you can. Register to vote. Sign the petition.
We are going to take one last caller. Welcome to the show, caller. Howdy.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm a patient under the Oregon Medical Marijuana Program, and I wondered if you could tell me a little bit about the different cannabinoids in marijuana.
Sure. They say there are 40 unique cannabinoids, but 5 of them have been identified as having medical utility. The main one most of us know is tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC. That's the one that's responsible for the high associated with marijuana. It's also useful for the treatment of nausea and as an appetite stimulant, or for wasting syndrome. The main medicinal component in cannabis is called CBD, or cannabidiol. Cannabidiol is useful for chronic pain, spasms, seizures. Most of the medicinal effects of cannabis come from CBD. There's another compound, CBC, cannabichromene, has analgesic properties to help kill pain and antibiotic properties. One called cannabinol, or CBN, also has antibiotic properties, has been found to kill MRSA, the drug-resistant pathogens and bacteria that most antibiotics don't take care of. The terpenes also add medicinal activity. The terpenes are what are responsible for the smell and flavor. They're common to other plants as well. We have a magazine in our office called O'Shaughnessy's, and it has lots of articles in it about the different cannabinoids. If you'd like to get a copy, come on down to our office and we'll be happy to give you one.
Sounds like a great idea. I do have one more question, though, pertaining to cannabinoids. Do different strains of marijuana, specifically a sativa versus an indica, have higher amounts of cannabidiol as opposed to THC?
Yeah, the same plant in the leaves might have more CBD than the flowers. The same strain might have different levels of cannabinoids at different times of harvest. So yeah, there are definitely differences in different varieties of cannabis.
We need more research.
Definitely. Tell me about it. Well, that answers it pretty much.
All right. Thanks for your question. Have a good night.
You too.
We've just about wrapped up here. You want to give a plug for your incredible radio show? You do a radio show 5 days a week
Thank you very much.
On the American Freedom Radio Network.
American Freedom Radio, 10 to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every Monday through Friday. Also, we have downloads that you can find in our archives if you do miss the live broadcast. Remember, this is Valentine's Month, the week of Valentine's. People are sitting behind bars lonely because they touched a plant and wish that they could hear from you. Please take a time to send a snail mail message of love to somebody who needs to hear it. And remember, the next time you hear me, you'll know that it's time for hemp. Thank you, Paul.
My pleasure. Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Paul.
You too.
Thank you.
Hey, help us with our petition guide. Go to that website, Octa 2012. If you need more information about getting involved, call our office. If you need help, we'll be happy to help you. Tune in next week and help us restore hemp. Huh! And we've got John Cornette and Jam Sue.